A mass shooting with casualties at a crowded family food festival in Northern California.
What's going on? What's going on? Is there fire?
You're right here. You're right here. Come on.
What's going on?
That is the moment when people realized someone was shooting and they started to run, very confused, just trying to get away. This is Gilroy, California, a city of about 50,000. It's about 30 miles south of San Jose, California. And we can now confirm that at least one person is dead and several others are wounded. As we've been saying, this is a large and popular food festival that has been going on for decades. It supports the local community, and it's called the Gilroy Garlic Festival. Shots ringing out there at this festival, people running for their lives. Law enforcement are now telling CNN that they have recovered a firearm and rifle ammunition from the scene. All right, let's bring in our crime and justice reporter, Shimon Prokopez. Shimon, we just heard that apparently police have recovered a firearm and rifle ammunition from the scene. What could that indicate?
Well, first it could indicate, obviously, that the suspect, the shooter here, may have left that behind. We've gotten reports that the shooter was still at large and that police were still searching for him. This is why they're calling it still an active shooter situation, an active scene. We know the police are all over this place looking for evidence and also potentially looking for this shooter. So we don't have word yet, and I think that's important, that the shooter is in custody or that they have him in any way. So that's the big question here, obviously. Is there's been other reports indicating that there may have been more than one shooter, but sometimes you hear that a lot in these kinds of situations during the chaos. I think some of what we've heard from witnesses is very important here. The shooting seems to have happened next to a stage where a band was performing. There was music. It came towards the end of this festival. The festival, according to the website, was ending at around 6 o'clock Pacific time. The band was still playing, and then the shots started ringing out. So I think that's going to be a key factor for investigators. The other thing is what's still not certain. Was this shooter targeting someone, or was this completely random, and that the shooter was just trying to create chaos, trying to just kill as many people as possible? The fact that they've recovered this rifle, we don't know what kind of style of rifle it is, but we have heard witnesses describe automatic gunfire, rapid gunfire. You heard that one witness saying about 30 gunshots, that the shooter may have reloaded, a key fact here. So all of that still very much in the air. We have yet to officially hear from police as to exactly what happened here. We know the president tweeted. He said that the shooter was still wanted, was still on the run, saying that it was still a very dangerous situation. So still a lot of unanswered questions. We know that at least one person has been killed, and there have been several injured. We don't know the condition of those injured. Two of them we know were transported to a local hospital, and we have yet to hear anything on their condition. But still, by all accounts, a very, very active situation on the ground there for police.
Yeah, absolutely, because Gilroy police did put out a tweet at least a half hour ago that they're working the story and there would be an update as soon as they could give it, but apparently they're extremely busy. They haven't done that. You were talking about the shooter. I did speak with one of the band members who was right there on the stage when the shooter came next to the stage and started firing. And to him, he couldn't really decipher any kind of demeanor from this person, but seemed to be shooting indiscriminately with perhaps no distinctive expression or focus from this shooter. Well, now we see that it's just after 9 p.m. there, Shimon, in Gilroy. So what are they up against now that darkness has fallen?
Well, if they're searching for this shooter, that's going to be the most important thing for law enforcement right now, is to try and apprehend the shooter. That, by far, is the biggest priority. You would think that by this point they have a handle on the injured, that they've been able to go through the scene, try to find anyone that's been injured and get them the aid that they need. That was something, in a lot of situations in these shootings, there's always a delay in getting to victims because when you're bringing in EMS workers, EMS technicians, they don't necessarily have tactical gear to go into active shooter situation. So the police need to secure the area first, and then the medical aid could go in and try and render aid. So that was definitely something that we saw here. It did delay some of the medics from getting in, but we're not hearing a whole lot in terms of the injured. We know that at least one person has been killed, and obviously there have been several injured, but we don't know the extent of those injuries. It could be just people running from the scene. It does sound like
Yes,
there was
Shimon, we have heard that 11 are confirmed injured. We do know that much.
Yeah, so we don't know the extent of their injuries. And then, in these situations, people start running from the scene, they fall, people trample each other. You always get that in these types of situations. But the big thing, obviously, now is where's the shooter? Is he dead? Is he still on the run? Do police have him? And the other thing, obviously, is going to be the question of motive. What happened here? Was this shooter targeting someone, and then there was individuals were caught in the crossfire? Or was this just completely random? Someone who went into this area knowing there was going to be thousands of people here and opened fire? That's still the big question, and we don't yet know the answer to that.
Right, and to hear the band tell me that there were thousands of people around them, so that shows many easy targets for this gunman. I've also been given this information, so one person dead, multiple injured, they've been shot in the hospital with gunshot wounds, and the people that we know about are in serious to fair condition. At least it's not critical at this juncture. All right, Shimon, stand by. We are getting new sound from another eyewitness from our affiliate on the ground, KGO TV.
When did you realize that your cousin, your 12-year-old cousin, was shot?
Well, when we were almost like in a fence, we were really close to a fence, we just saw a hole in the leg and she was crying. So we just found out that
So it sounds like she got shot while you were running away from the gunfire and the gunman.
Yeah, probably. We are not sure.
I know that you said you were in the woods at some point. This was behind the Garlic Festival, correct?
Yeah.
How did you eventually get help? How did she end up here at the hospital? Was there an ambulance that took her? Was there help waiting for all of the victims?
Well, we went to hide in the woods and then we just waited a little bit, but we knew our family was going to come at some point. We were just waiting, and she got out to find help from our family.
And then a family member drove her to an ambulance, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Was she saying anything to you guys?
Yeah, she was crying. She was saying she was in a lot of pain, but not really anything else. And to call her mom.
And I know that her mom, her parents are at the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Okay. As are your parents, whom I've spoken to. This is not what you expected when you came to visit your family, I think, needless to say.
It was crazy. I wasn't expecting.
You're very calm right now. Imagine it was absolutely terrifying, though.
Well, I was calm, but yeah, it was really like, it was freaky. It was just... I was in shock.
I think most of the people we've been talking with are in shock. We want to bring in another eyewitness on the phone for us now. Is Lex de la Heron. Lex, thanks so much for talking with us. You were on the ground and you were wounded. Take us through what happened.
So I originally was walking away as the music was winding down, and I turned around for a quick moment, and I hear the gunshot sounds. At first I thought it was fireworks, but a man behind me screamed that those are real, those are real. And I just froze like a deer in the headlights. And all of a sudden, blindsidedly, this piece of unknown shrapnel came flying towards me, and it struck me in the forehead. Luckily, it wasn't anything serious, just left a bruise behind. But right after that, I just started running, and I was looking behind to make sure that, my family was with me. And I saw people jumping over the fence, people trampling over each other. It was just widespread chaos. And it was just unbelievable having to, experience a traumatic experience like this.
I can understand. As you ran, did the gunman continue to shoot?
Yeah, at first there was an initial 6 firing, and there was a brief pause. And after that pause, the gunman resumed firing. But after that, I didn't hear any more gunshots at that time.
How far were you able to run to get away?
I ran as quick as I could. I ran about maybe 30 feet away from where the firing was happening. And I was running with the crowd towards where the buses were. And luckily, a bus was there, and I was able to get on there quickly because, in those situations, you don't know whether or not you're being chased or, what the gunman is doing. And, there's so many things that were just running through my mind but I tried staying as calm as I could.
Oh, you sound like you were, Lex, but what about the people around you? Were people screaming?
People were screaming. I saw multiple people jumping over a fence. Someone tripped over a fence. I saw a couple people trip too. But people were definitely in shock. There was a large silence. And, some people were visibly shaking, and it was just a time of just complete shock and trying to process everything that just happened.